By the way, speaking of that, did you see what Dave? I'm sorry, um, Eric Bischoff had did an episode on the No Limit Soldiers, which God,
Uh,
I hate to tell Easy got something wrong, but I've actually talked to Big Swole, so there were some things that, according to Big Swole, were wrong.
Maybe Big Swole had it wrong.
Maybe so, maybe so. Maybe we'll get a version, getting a different version. But I'm not trying to pick on Bischoff here, but I mean
But
Bischoff's
yeah,
not my favorite person, but
yeah. Well, I mean,
a broken clock is right twice a day too.
I think it's very on brand for you to only listen to his show when it's about Master P. Like,
Yeah.
na, 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 na.
So Bischoff had a quote in that.
Man, let me tell you something. Master P worked hard, and he's not stupid, but he was, dude. That music was not good.
I disagree. There's a lot of stuff in there that's not good because he made so much. But hey,
He
man, you
flooded
can't
he
knock him.
flooded the market with a bunch of substandard music.
Mm, there's some stuff that still is good today. That's all I'm gonna say. But Bischoff said, and honestly, my feeling on the No Limit Soldiers before I say what Bischoff said about AEW is if you were an actual fan of the No Limit Soldiers and No Limit Records, I should say No Limit Records, they weren't the No Limit Soldiers, No Limit Records. If you were a fan of them, you would know that, in my personal opinion, they did not catch No Limit at their peak, and I believe that was part of the problem.
Wrestling never catches anything cultural at their peak.
So that was, if you are a fan of No Limit or were a fan of No Limit back then, you would know that they didn't catch them at their peak, and that contributed to some of what may or may not have worked with the angle. Now, as I say that, I believe Kurt Hennig had a blast doing that with the rap is crap. I think those guys all worked their asses off. I was into it, still into it. One of these years, we're going to get to that moment, right? And we
Hmm.
could talk more about it then. But it was a very entertaining, and it sounded like Kurt Hennig had a wonderful time doing that whole angle.
That's 8 years from now. We're still going to be doing this in 8 years.
Yeah, I hope so.
God,
I know.
jeez, really?
But on to what I was going to say about not only the No Limits Soldiers angle, but so Bischoff, and I'm guessing he does this on every episode. He, old Conrad, our friend. Hey, Conrad, how are you? I know you're listening. I know you love us. It's cool. We no heat here, brother. Right? Seriously, Conrad and I are cool. Anyway, him and Bischoff are talking, and as always, they are going over the Wrestling Observer from the time, and they're ripping apart lots of stuff with the No Limit Soldiers and everything that was done. And well, Bischoff goes off at one point and says, "You know something, Conrad? Dave is an AEW fanboy and a surrogate. He might as well be on their payroll if he's not already. If
Mm.
Dave applied the same sensibility to what he's seeing now versus Nitro in the late 90s with his buddies in AEW, he'd be shredding them. But he doesn't because Tony pats him on his head and gives him cookies." Piss up! But there's nothing more condescending than saying you being pat on the head and giving cookies.
That's not helpful.
That's freaking great.
No,
So I'm
it's
not the
not.
biggest Bischoff fan. I don't
That's
hate
not
him.
nice.
I don't hate Bischoff. I'm just not the biggest fan of his. I think he tells his own version of history too and lies. But that was a tremendous quote that hit the bullseye right on the head by old fanboy Meltzer for his
Well,
AEW.
here's the real question. What are we going to do with a guy that probably in all reality probably doesn't have a clue on what he's doing with this wrestling business, but is not going to run out of money? Because most of the time, these problems take care of themselves because some mud show jackass just runs out of money.
The only thing I think you can do is you can hope that he gets tired of running it and it just wears so much on him that he's just like, I'm gonna sell it.
Okay.
And then what he sells it for and who buys it. Wouldn't it be can you imagine if WWE buys it? Like
Come
let's
on.
assume it remains,
I
you
told you
know,
what's going to happen.
with the family that has WWE right now. Let's just assume, I know Vince is out, but let's just, WWE hadn't been sold. Let's assume, Stephanie, Shane are all still involved. Let's assume that they were to buy AEW.
I
Like,
told
I
you what's
think
going to
that's
happen.
actually the only thing that would, I think that's the only course of action if he were to sell it. But I don't know. Who knows?
Well,
Completely hypothetical when I say that. But go ahead. What else were you saying?
oh, nothing. Nothing.
You didn't agree with
I
Bischoff's
just,
statement?
I don't think we know enough to say these kinds of things.
Okay. So, first off, we ain't saying nothing. I am taking a direct quote and I typed it verbatim of what he said. So,
I don't know. It feels like you're jumping in on this.
no, I just think it's hilarious that he called Dave a
I'm
fanboy.
trying to play it lighter with a lighter touch because I'm not wanting to be drug into this. What you're trying to get into?
Oh, okay. Okay.
What?
Right, right, right,
I mean,
right.
I just don't. Not everybody needs to be in a fight all the time. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
And I just
All right.
told you that now that Double J's in there, he's going to trade about 4 or 5 Global Force gold bars to Shad Khan and take over the promotion.
He will, no, that's not going to happen. That ain't going to happen. That is not going to happen. Global Force Gold. What a work that was, huh? He was selling gold bars.
No, he wasn't.
Christ. Boy, these wrestlers. As I said on Twitter last week, and Mikey and DFW co-signed for me, Carney's gonna Carney, bruh.
Hey, if it's not gold, it's fucking jet skis and beach rentals out on Waikiki Beach. So
No, he was
guys,
just working.
well, yeah, and so here's the thing, we continue, if you're not a patron, we continue to cover the recent Tales from the Territory series on Vice. And we just recorded Polynesian Pro Wrestling. It's probably been out though now for quite a while when this gets listened to. And if you're not a patron, I think it's time that you become one.
tinyurl.com/Patreon BTT.